Tyree will be, I'd say later in the week, we'll have a better feel on that one. We'll know a little bit more. Um, Devin Duvernay has an ankle. That's kind of day to day right now. Those are the ones I have in front of me. If you have any other questions on that, I'm happy to address them if we can. And that's where we're at. What questions do you have?
We'll get it started with Jamison Hensley.
Hey, John, you mentioned about the AFC North. I mean, you look from top to bottom. I think everyone's separated by like a half game or a game. What do you think it says about this division this year?
Yeah, I really don't have any thoughts on it. I guess I could think of something to say. It probably says it's very competitive, but that I haven't really thought about that at all, James. It's a tight race, and we're just trying to do our best in it right now.
Childs Walker.
Hey, John, just kind of playing off the update you gave on Tyree. We obviously saw McCary practicing with a cast on his hand last week. Would he be an option for this week? And then where do things stand with Ben Powers?
Ben, I don't know. He has a toe, so we'll know. I'd say Wednesday, Thursday, see how he does in practice. I thought the offensive line played really well. The guys who went in there, you mentioned Tyree and Pat. You talking about right tackle. Pat has a chance. He practiced last week. But I thought David Sharp did a really nice job when he came in. The whole offensive line played a really good football game. I was happy to see it. Young guys stepped up. Ben Cleveland stepped up, had a very good game for his first outing. Of course, Bozeman, he played a good, solid football game. Kevin Zeitler was his usual self. Alejandro had a lot of good plays out there. So I was really happy with the way those guys played.
Luke Jones.
Hey, John, just going back to the 2-point conversion. Tyler Huntley said after the game that you had said a couple drives before that your plan was going to be to, score 2 touchdowns and go for 2. With that thought in mind and applying some of the logic from last week in Cleveland, how much do you consider going for 2 when you score the first touchdown and you're down 8? And what led you not to do that?
Yeah, that's a great question. We could have done that. It just felt like the clock was a little tight. My gut. I talked that over with our coaches even earlier, and really the decision wasn't made that early. I talked to him on the bench about probably doing that. I wanted him to be ready for it, but I wasn't sure at that point if we were going to go for 2 or not. That was more of a decision that got made right there late. So I really wanted to delay that decision till the end and just kind of see how I felt about where we were at, how much time was left. It would have had to have been a situation where it goes down to the wire. 42 seconds was a little bit more time than you really want to go for 2 there. I'd rather have it be around 20 seconds, but decided to do it, there at the end. If it had been any more time than that, we would have certainly kicked it. But, I think really when you look at it and just haven't thought about it really hard, it's something you go back. I mean, we had a lot of conversation with it on the phones at the time. I've thought about it all night, of course you do. There's 2 choices, and they're both viable. Either one can turn out right. Either one can turn out wrong. It's basically 50-50. We talked about it a lot. And we decided to go for it. It didn't work out. I know half the people are going to say we should have kicked it. I get it. They can certainly criticize me for it. I'm okay with that. I criticized myself for it, so I understand it. That's just the way it goes. You can't dwell on it too much because we definitely have to move on. We've been preparing already. We're on to Cincinnati, and that's kind of where we're at. But you think hard about those things before and after. I think it's a little bit like decisions in life. Maybe it would have turned out differently. If maybe it would have turned out the same. There's no guarantee we would have gone down the field and won in overtime either. So that's where we're at, and we'll do the best we can going forward with those kind of decisions.
Jeff Sarebek.
Hey, John, we've all seen, the last, 6 quarters, the offense has been as sharp as it's been in probably well over a month. How difficult, I know Lamar's your quarterback. I want to make that clear. But if Lamar is not 100%, how difficult of a decision does that have to be, weighing his health with what you've gotten from Tyler Huntley the last 2 weeks?
Yeah, it's a good question, but I think it's hard to answer because there's no definitive formula there. So we're just going to have to see where we're at with all factors. And that's how you do it. You got to kind of take everything into account and see where you feel best about going forward, practice time and health wise and all those things. That's really all you can do, and just go with what you feel like is best and how the guys are doing.
Todd Karpovich.
Hey, Coach. Huntley threw the ball to 8 different guys yesterday, including Wallace and Prochet. how key is that getting all those guys involved, and keeping defenses off balance by having so many different weapons in there?
Like that. I mean, I don't think it's a must. It's not like you can go in every game and say, hey, the key to the whole thing is spreading the ball around to different targets. But it does speak to the fact that he was kind of taking what the defense gave him. He was going where the reads took him most all the time, did a good job of that. I thought Tyler played really a poised game, got the ball out on time most of the time, got off and got scrambling most of the time when he needed to. Saw the field pretty well, and just played an all around good football game. And he'll look at it real critically, just like Lamar does. And he'll want to play a lot better than he did, and that's what you appreciate. But that's how you improve too. So yeah, that's a good thing when you have it. We're happy about that.
David Andrade.
Hello, Coach. Yesterday you mentioned the step up for Tyler Huntley, but the Ravens playing with a backup secondary and their effort that this means to continue creating this culture for the Ravens, that no matter who plays in this position, they're still able to manage one of the most dominant offense in the NFL.
Right, David. I think kind of what you're going towards is something that we feel really strongly about. We trust our players. We believe in our guys. The guys who are out here practicing hard, who are in the meetings working hard, that are trying to do things the right way and play the way that we like to play, the way that the tradition by many great players before them have established how we play here, all three phases. Those guys deserve an opportunity, and we're not going to, we don't want to shy away from that. That's how you find players. You put them out there when they're ready, when they practice well, they prove to you that they're ready, or circumstances. Sometimes the guys seem like they're ready, but the circumstances don't give them an opportunity. So when those two things merge, you're really excited to see guys go out there and play well. I thought the secondary, the O-line, other places too, but the secondary did a good job. And there's lots of things we can coach off there as well, especially going against an offense like that and a quarterback like that. But I was happy with those guys, and your point is well taken.
We'll go to Jonas Schaefer.
Hey, John, sorry if I'm making you repeat yourself, but when Luke asked about the, analytics and not going for two after that touchdown to draw you guys to 31-23, you said the clock was a little tight. So does that mean you're thinking about the possibility of the next touchdown and kind of where that would have left you guys if you'd scored a second touchdown late in that comeback? You kind of spent most of the time talking about that second touchdown and the analytics on that, but I'm just wondering about the first touchdown, 31-23.
Yeah, well, if I'm following the question, you're not sure exactly. I was pretty sure in the Pittsburgh game that we were going to Pittsburgh game we're talking about, I think here, right? We went for it too early. Was that the Pittsburgh game or the Cleveland game? Cleveland game. We went for too early. I was pretty sure that it was going to be a 2-touchdown situation. I wasn't quite as sure it was going to be a 2-touchdown situation in this game. It could have been another score involved. So just wanted to wait and see how that played out. That's why I didn't go for it on the first score. Wanted to wait till the second score. Plus, you never know how much time you're going to have left. So if it had been any more time, we'd have definitely put it into overtime, or attempted to put it in overtime and try to get the stop. So, but I thought about putting it into overtime anyway. That was a consideration. Just decided to go the other way with it. Felt like that was our best chance. And, I mean, it's interesting how close this is. I mean, how tight these decisions are. I guess it's what makes it so exciting. And when it doesn't work out, so kind of devastating, because if we'd hit two of these 2-point conversions, two of these, we would be number one in the AFC, I think, right now. So that's the difference, So just got to keep chasing it in the National Football League. I mean, any given Sunday, everything's still in front of us. So let's keep working hard, and let's see what we can accomplish these next 3 games, starting with the most important one against Cincinnati.
Bo Smoker.
Hey, John, I just want to ask something, and I'm sorry if I'm not getting this right, but there's new NFL COVID protocols in place. My understanding was if a league is in an intensive protocol, though, the entire team continues to test daily. And is that correct? And would your team be at that status with the number of players that have tested positive?
I don't know the details of what protocol stands for what. I just go by what we're told we have to do. What we're in right now is some sort of an intensive protocol on some level, but we're not testing everybody daily. That's not what we're doing. We have to wear masks. We have to meet virtually for the next 2 days and wear masks for the next 2 days. And I think they're going to see where we're at after that. So we're happy with that. We don't have any problem doing that at all. Try to stay as safe as we can and see where we go from there.
Sean Stepner.
Hey, Coach, just how vital is it for your team and your group to move on after another tough loss like you did? I mean, how vital? I know you have to do it every week after a loss, but after a win too. But just after another heartbreaker like last night, and with the game looming this Sunday against the Bengals, and its import on the season, just how vital is it just to turn the page now?
Sure. I mean, it's 100% vital. I think it's 100% vital to your point in all those situations, which is kind of what I heard you saying there. So it's really no different in that sense. And, I'm sure our guys have moved on. We have moved on. You have to. You can talk about second guessing ourselves on a whole bunch of different things, whether it's, plays we call or how we teach a technique or what choices we made in game planning or who played or how they played. The guys look at themselves very hard, but really that it's all with a forward eye toward the next game. And that's what really we're looking at 100%. We've got to get ready for the next game. That's what we're doing. We have moved on to Cincinnati, a famous line from a famous coach. And it's so true. And that's what we're doing.
We'll go to Noah Trister.
Yeah, Coach, you mentioned all the 2-point conversion situations you guys have been in. I think going at least back to the Indianapolis game, you guys maybe have been in as many as any team in the league. How much time do you have to spend sort of each week adding new wrinkles in case the situation comes up again? Because you obviously don't want to be repeating plays, I assume.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you do. And those are +5 plays generally, 2-yard line type plays. Could be at the 1. But we work on low red zone quite a bit, +5 and going in quite a bit. Those are the types of plays you're talking about. We have to have a large array of plays in that area. So I think that's one thing that's changed about football in the last 5 years or so. I think those menus are much bigger than they used to be. Spend a lot of time working on and repping those because you can run out of them pretty quickly. It's a good point.
Mark Viviano. We'll come back to Mark. We'll go to Jerry Coleman.
Hey, Coach. I just wanted to go back to the decision. In all my years covering you, it sounds like were you up last night going back and forth? Did you go back and watch the film? And also in terms of the play itself, how much has Tyler been able to practice that, knowing that he hasn't had the reps as much as Lamar this year? And if I may, I'm sorry, Coach, do you also look at it differently from the perspective of being home and on the road? Was that ever in any consideration?
Yeah, I think everything's in consideration, really. I mean, definitely, home and away lends itself to how you feel about the situation. Mark Viviano asked about the analytics and the numbers, and there are certain people out there that make certain assumptions about, the numbers and all that, which I laugh at that constantly because our analytics guys would laugh at it too. But in the end, you go by what you think gives you the best chance in that moment to win. And it's not a perfect decision ever. So always, on every situation, coaches, man, you go back, any coach will tell you at every level. I can talk about even Allison's high school coaches, you go back and you just look at everything all the time. And you ask yourself all those tough questions all the time. You can't just, slap your hands and just say, oh, que sera, sera. It's not what it's all about. You try to do the best you can and you try to apply it and learn and get better. But just knowing a lot of times it's a 50-50 gambit. That's what it ends up being. And you've got 2 viable choices there and you've got to go with one in the heat of battle and you make your choice. So what goes into it? Probably a lot of that is stuff that you don't even necessarily calculate consciously. It becomes a subconscious calculation as well. And you try to do the best you can with it. As far as Tyler's reps, Jerry, he probably had fewer reps than, he would have had if he was, Lamar all season with the first team reps, but he's gotten a lot of reps at most all those plays. And, he'll tell you he can execute, that play better, but he did a pretty darn good job with it the whole game. He played really well. So, and he'll keep chasing perfection and improvement, just like we all will.
We'll go back to Mark Viviano.
Hey, John, for the record, the question that I asked you was for clarity, not out of judgment, just so we're on the same page there.
Appreciate that.
Sure. Want to ask you, is it coincidence did you guys target Tyler Huntley because of a skill set that matched your starting quarterback? And as you see him play in game situations and play well, is it not surprising that he was not drafted?
Very good questions. The first one is yes, we did, because he fit the style of our offense. And but not just that. I mean, all of his talent and ability, which speaks to the second part of your question. We really respected. I mean, James Urban and our scouts had a really high regard for Tyler on the tape that they'd watched and through the workouts and everything. So that kind of all added up. Surprised he wasn't drafted. You know, I don't know. I can never be surprised about anything in this league. It's just, you just never know, and who ends up rising and becoming a good player and who doesn't. It's a big challenge to try to predict all that. But we're happy with Tyler, and we're looking forward to his growth and development. And he's going to work really hard to continue to improve.
We'll go to Ryan Mink.
Yeah, Coach, just after looking at the tape, can you talk about the way that Geno Stone played, especially taking over the communication? And it looked like Brandon Stevens had maybe his best game yet, just what you saw from him.
Right, Ryan. That's a good question. Thanks for bringing those two names up. I had forgotten just to mention those guys, but they both. Brandon did play his best game. He was in good position. He continues to tighten up in terms of the details, leverages, eyes, his landmarks, his relationships on the different routes. He was, I'd say, at his best in this game. And then Geno, boy, he took that green dot and ran with it. He had great communication back there. We really didn't skip a beat back there between him and Chuck, which is really what you want to see. I credit Chuck in terms of training him, of course, Coach Hewitt and Coach Lynn. But yeah, I thought those guys played a really solid game back there, both safety spots.
We'll go to Cordell Woodland.
Hey, Coach. You guys are regarded as an analytical team because a few of your decisions are influenced by that. How much do you really use analytics in your decisions? How often are you really declining it? I guess is my question. Are you guys more on the 50+ side when you do choose to go that route?
No, I don't know how. It's not like how often you use it or don't use it. It's more to what degree does it factor in. We definitely don't follow the model 100% by any stretch of the imagination. I mean, the model tells you to go for 2. It tells you to go for 4th downs a lot more than we do. In terms of those two situations, that I'd say that's probably the case. Now, whether some of the other analytics things, there's a lot more to analytics than just those game time decisions. And we take all that information that you get through all the different outlets that you get information, and we try to build models and try to gather as much as we can in terms of our game planning too. So we really apply all that stuff. You apply that to your film study. So you're not just watching tape and making notes, which is a big part of it because your eye tells you a lot, but we're also filtering that through the lens of what we know based on qualitative information that comes through off of the film study and the next gen stats and the tracking and all these different things that we're able to assimilate and put into a body of information and then try to analyze it and make sense of it. And so it's a good process. It's just information is way more advanced than it was. There's always been analytics in football, all the way back to my dad's day when they used to take the cards and put the spikes in them and shake them out, and the ones that fell out you knew weren't 3rd down plays and all that. So just a much more advanced version of what's been going on for many years in football.
We'll take 2 more here. David Andrade.
Yes, Coach. Yesterday, Tyler Huntley, he was very appreciated of the opportunity of playing with the Ravens, despite the score. But there's a couple of players like Tylan Wallace got his very first catch in his career. And also Anthony Everett, he was one of the most, had the most pressure and most targeted in the NFL. But he was able to manage this best duo of quarterback and wide receiver. What's the mental part that plays for all these opportunities that the new players are creating for the Ravens?
That's something to think about. It's we've had an opportunity for sure, David, to look at a lot of players this year. That would probably be an understatement. So that's a good thing, and the way they've stepped up and played is something that we're we're happy about. That it means you got some guys that can play, and that's a good thing going forward. But right now, we're just kind of focused on the next game and trying to do the best we can against Cincinnati.
We'll close it out here with Jamison Hensley.
Hey, John, there was a report with Lamar about him having a bone bruise. I mean, would that be accurate that he's dealing with that? And at this point, have they told you if Lamar? I know you said you'll have to gauge it as it goes week, but I mean, are you guys optimistic about him being able to practice on Wednesday?
Yeah, I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. As far as the details of it all, it's not something to really get into the details too much, as you know. That's not something we need to share with the whole world. I'm hopeful. We'll see.
All right, Coach. Thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
All right, appreciate you guys. Thanks.